Let me introduce you to the 48 Laws of Power, one of the most critically acclaimed but often controversial guides to power dynamics. Written by Robert Greene, this book condenses 3,000 years of the history of power into 48 well-crafted laws. Each law is a window into the tactics, triumphs, and failures of great figures in history who have wielded or been victimized by power. Alright, so we're back with another episode on how to use the 48 Laws of Power in 2024. And today we're going to be covering laws 5 through 8. I strongly suggest that if you are an entrepreneur, you really pay attention to these laws, because throughout these chapters we will be following great entrepreneurs of history, and we will take a look into how they became successful or how they got screwed. Either way, we're going to get right into it. Law number 5. So much depends on your reputation. Guard it with your life. Reputation is the cornerstone of power. Through reputation alone, you can intimidate and win. Once it slips, however, you are vulnerable and will be attacked on all sides. Make your reputation unassailable. Always be alert to potential attacks and thwart them before they happen. Meanwhile, learn to destroy your enemies by opening holes in their own reputation. Then stand aside and let public opinion hang them. This is a really important law for 2024. Guard your reputation with your life, especially in this day and age. Because once your reputation gets stained, it will most likely be impossible to erase. And you can thank social media and the internet for that one. Reputation is still so important in today's society for literally anything. It takes a lifetime to build a good reputation and only a minute to ruin it. In history, reputations have moved mountains, in both good ways and bad ways. So let's start by analyzing the historical observance of the law. Zhuge Liang was a great general during the War of the Three Kingdoms in ancient China. He was the leader of the Shu Kingdom. One day, he dispatched his huge army to a distant camp and decided to rest in a small town with only a handful of soldiers. But almost instantly, a scout had come to tell Liang that an army of 150,000, led by Sima Yi, was closing in on his location. Liang had only 100 men to defend him. His situation looked hopeless, and it was looking like he was going to be captured. Instead of panicking, pouting, or complaining, he acted. He told his soldiers to open the gates of the town and hide. After they did this, he himself sat on the most visible part of the town's exterior and started singing in his robe. And he did this in plain sight. Within minutes, he could see the large army approaching, but he acted like he didn't notice them and kept singing and strutting. When the army arrived at the town's gates, General Sima Yi instantly recognized Liang. The soldiers were eager to attack the outnumbered opponent, but Sima Yi hesitated. He examined the situation, then ordered an immediate retreat. Who in their right mind would retreat in this position? Well, to be honest, anyone with a brain in this period of ancient China. See, Zhuge Liang was known as the Sleeping Dragon. He was known for his legendary exploits and manipulation to his enemies in war. On countless occasions, he had outsmarted and manipulated his opponents. So when Sima Yi showed up at his door, he knew better than to fall into his trap, which wasn't even a trap. Liang was so screwed, but Sima Yi did not dare to find out. This is the power of a reputation. It can cultivate an opinion that causes people to act a certain way. A reputation says so much about you to those who may or may not know you. With social media and technology being such a huge part of our lives, watch how quickly your reputation will spread amongst everyone. And it's as simple as this. You can either have a good reputation or you can have a bad reputation. A bad reputation can invoke a bad taste in anyone's mouth that you seek to work with or affiliate with. Like, let's say you have a reputation for cheating in poker. Even if the situation was just a one-time small mistake, most likely people won't want you to come sit at their table because you've been known to cheat. And even if you do end up being able to sit at the table, everyone will have that slight thought of you doing something in the back of their mind. This same principle applies for partners and relationships. If you have a reputation for being unfaithful and a cheater, see how far that will take you. One day, you might find yourself really liking someone, but because of your reputation, they might not trust you. And even if you do get into that relationship, overthinking can soon infect the mind of your partner and the relationship can turn toxic. I can't say it enough, your reputation is so freaking important. So on the other hand, a good reputation can work wonders for you. A good reputation in any aspect of your life is an extremely good characteristic to have. It creates an aura around you that can instill respect and even fear into those around you. When you have a good reputation, your presence increases and your strengths become exaggerated. A solid entrepreneur with a proven track record will always get that investment. A worker with a famous work ethic will always get that job. And a person known to be loyal and committed in relationships will always get that partner. Guard your reputation with your fucking life. Don't destroy it. And on a relevance scale for 2024, we have our first 5 out of 5. Law number 6. Court attention at all cost. Everything is judged by its appearance. What is unseen counts for nothing. Never let yourself get lost in the crowd or buried in oblivion. Stand out. Be conspicuous at all costs. Make yourself a magnet of attention by appearing larger, more colorful, more mysterious than the bland and timid masses. This law is so extremely relevant and it pisses me off. I hate the saying there's no such thing as bad publicity because it is true. Degenerate creators like Neon, Jack Doherty, and Jamaliz understand this law. They do the dumbest shit and pull the craziest publicity stunts in order to get your attention. They do not care what they do or how they look because they grab your attention and they keep it. And to put it bluntly, this makes them rich. Like Jamaliz is a OnlyFans creator who makes Instagram reels that are downright brain rot. The people in her comments are all hateful and annoyed, but what they don't know they're doing is literally pushing her content out by boosting the algorithm. So by hating on her, they're pushing her content out to more people. If more people watch her brain dead videos, then more people are funneled into her OnlyFans, which will then make her more money. It is so stupid, but this law can make you hundreds of thousands of dollars in today's day and age. But it's at the expense of your dignity and self-respect. I mean, have you seen Neon? Money doesn't always equal power though, because I, as well as many other people, have no respect for these creators. But let's see how this law was played out the right way in history. Everyone knows Thomas Edison. He was a great scientist that was a pioneer for the use of electricity. He knew that he needed to raise money in order to stay in the eye of the public at all costs. He also knew that it was just as important to create a good presentation to court the attention of the public as it was to have good products. So he would create dazzling presentations and he would talk about his future inventions like robots and cameras. He would do anything to keep himself in the public eye as long as he received more attention than his rival, Nikola Tesla. Tesla was more brilliant than Edison, but was far less popular. In 1915, it was rumored that Tesla and Edison would be the joint recipients of the Nobel Prize in Physics, but the prize was given to some other English physicists. It seemed like Tesla and Edison, given their creations, would have easily been the favorite. And they were. It had only been revealed later in the future that the committee for the prize had approached Edison about them winning the prize. But Edison refused to share the prize with Tesla. His fame was more secure than that of Tesla's, and he felt it was better to refuse the award than to allow his rival in a lower position to receive that much attention. 100 years later and nothing has really changed. If anything, things have become hyper amplified. Everybody, and I mean everybody, is trying to compete for attention on the internet. Whether it's streamers, content creators, or YouTubers, everyone knows how important it is to retain your audience. Because if you can keep the attention of this generation with the attention span of a 10-year-old, you are going to be successful. So if you're watching these longer form, not edited for attention videos, then I'm proud of you. This shows that you don't need that constant stimulation that this world now craves. On a relevance scale for 2024, I give this law a 4.5 out of 5. Even though it pisses me off, it is what it is. Law number 7, get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. Use the wisdom, knowledge, and legwork of other people to further your own cause. Not only will such assistance save you valuable time and energy, it will give you a godlike aura of efficiency and speed. In the end, your helpers will be forgotten and you will be remembered. Never do yourself what others can do for you. This law is really powerful. It sounds extremely messed up, but you have to know how to use it and how to protect yourself against it. Let me say that again. You have to understand this law. You have to. For me, the biggest takeaway from this law is to delegate. Delegation is one of the most useful skills that an entrepreneur or just a successful person in general can do. Do you think that Jeff Bezos worried about learning how to do cloud computing or stressed about learning how to manage an entire fulfillment center? Absolutely not. He delegated these tasks to people more effective and efficient in these fields. But when you think of Amazon, you immediately think Jeff Bezos. He gets the credit for the entire thing. Same thing goes for Elon Musk. Do you think that he designs every detail of the batteries in his cars? Or does the software engineering for his AI? No, he hires smart people to do this stuff for him. But when you think Tesla, you think Elon Musk. The key to power here is to use your strengths, energy, and time where they are needed. Then you pay someone else to do the legwork that you yourself should not be doing. But more importantly than knowing how to use this law is how to protect yourself from this law. You have to understand when you are in a position to greatly benefit from your skill or your creation. Don't ever innovate for somebody else, because they will get the credit, money, recognition, and power from it. Please protect yourself from this law. Be aware of your own self-worth and self-value. Don't be taken advantage of. And speaking of being taken advantage of, let's see how this happened in history. Once again, we have the infamous Thomas Edison, a man who needs no introduction. And here we have Nikola Tesla, a brilliant young Serbian scientist who came to America to work for Edison. Tesla would work 18-hour days and found various ways to improve Edison's creations, until one day he offered to redesign them completely. Edison thought this would take ages, so he offered $50,000 to Tesla if he accomplished this. Tesla heard this and absolutely grinded his ass off and completed it in a year. After he finished, he went to Edison excited to collect his money and tell the scientist that he had accomplished the feat. Edison told him jokingly, "Tesla, you don't understand our American humor," then offered him a small raise. Tesla went on to work for George Westinghouse, who completely funded Tesla's research and offered him royalties on future profits. A year later, Westinghouse received a bid for the business from JP Morgan himself, who made him take back his royalty agreement with Tesla. Westinghouse persuaded Tesla to buy out his patents for $216,000, a large amount of money, no doubt. But the patents were worth $12 million at the time. So when all was said and done, the people above Tesla got all the wealth, all the patents, and essentially all the credit for his greatest inventions of his career. So if you want to be on the offensive part of this law, use others to do the work for you and inevitably take credit for your own business or creation, but not at anybody's expense. Don't screw someone over who's been helping you and been a huge part of your growth. But in the end, it is your business or your product that you will have the credit for and be remembered for. And this isn't a bad thing. Delegation and paying people to play a role in your business is fantastic. But don't just use someone and then leave them out to dry while you reap all the benefits. That's fucked up. But if you want to be on the defensive part of this law, protect your innovation and creativity by always understanding the value of it. If you have created something truly special or have a really unique skill, do not let anybody take advantage of it. Understand your own worth and capitalize on it. Don't ever build somebody else's dream at the expense of your own. And on a relevant scale for 2024, I give this law a 4 out of 5, especially if you are a business owner or entrepreneur. Law number 8, make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. When you force the other person to act, you are the one in control. It is always better to make your opponent come to you, abandoning his own plans in the process. Lure him with fabulous gains, then attack. You hold the cards. Again, this is kind of a shitty law at face value, but as we dive deeper into it, it starts to make a little bit more sense. But I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't really see the significance of it in 2024, and I don't really like the law. But pretty much what the law says is not to always be on the offensive. Don't always be chasing around and doing something. If you chase and chase and chase certain things, then you are not the one who is fully in control of your situation. But when you make other people come to you, when you bait them out, you are fully in control of your own situation. I could see this being applicable today if we look at something like the Full Send Nelk podcast. They have had some heavily influential people come onto their podcast, and for me personally, it's one of my favorite podcasts. But as I've listened, I've realized that a lot of people who are on there have asked to be on there. The Nelk Boys have asked certain people to come and be on their podcast, but it seems like for the most part, they get people who want to be on their podcast come to them. And in my opinion, this adds more value to the podcast itself. They are not going around asking every celebrity there is to come be on their podcast. And when you can make other people come to you, that is when you know you have a sense of authority and a sense of power. In 1905, Russia and Japan were at war. Japan had only begun modernizing their navy, and Russia had a much stronger and much more superior navy. With this in mind, a Japanese marshal, Togo Hayakiro, baited the Russians into leaving their docks in the Baltic Sea. He did this by making them believe that they could destroy the Japanese navy in one easy attack. But the Russian navy couldn't reach Japan through the quickest path, which was through the Strait of Gibraltar and through the Suez Canal into the Indian Ocean. This was because this path was British territory and the British were allies with the Japanese. So instead, the Russians had to add 6,000 miles to their trip by going around the southern tip of Africa. Once the Russians had passed Africa, the Japanese decided to spread another false rumor, that they were launching a counterattack immediately. The Russians were on high alert and wary for the rest of the trip. By the time they arrived to Japan, the sailors were overworked, exhausted, and tense. So despite their odds and inexperience, the Japanese completely crushed the Russians. So the historical lesson teaches us an important way that it was used. When it comes to stuff like war, where deception and things of that sort are useful, this law does apply. But for normal people like you and I, this law doesn't have too much relevance here. If anything, I would say just don't be Russia here. Don't go around chasing things or working against someone or something, because in the end, you won't be the one in control and most likely you'll be exhausted. On a relevance scale for 2024, I give this a 2.5 out of 5. But that wraps up another episode of how to use the 48 laws of power in 2024. If you have made it this far and you are an entrepreneur, I hope that you took a lot of value and information out of this video and you can retain it. I'm having a ton of fun making these videos and just doing the animations and editing for it, so I'm excited to keep making them and finish the series. If you came from the last video or even just enjoyed this one, leave a comment and let me know. I appreciate it if you made it all the way through. Thank you for watching.